How you guys doing? This is Neil. I'm going to be showing you guys how to draw a pretty comic face from a angled view. This will be maybe more of an extreme angled view. For those who know who I am the top art instructor at Udemy. I'm a multi-billion-dollar company, and also you can find me at my website masterpaintingnow.com with tons of free tutorials here on this YouTube channel, and also a lot of courses. Now, one of the courses that is very important to drawing pretty comic faces is my how to draw pretty comic faces course. Definitely recommend it for learning the proportions, all that. But once you have a feeling for the proportions, I like to start with an oval shape. Not a circle, kind of more of an oval shape, because from the 3/4 view, the head is a little bit more wider than it is from the front view. And from the side view, it's even wider. So as the head begins to turn around to the side view, you get a wider view. The next thing I like to do is decide where's my middle line, how much of a 3/4 view do I want. If it's right in the center, that's the center. If it's kind of over here, that's starting to turn a 3/4 view. And if we put it even more off to the center, like let's say off over here, then we get even a more 3/4 view. Right, so I just kind of draw something like that here. And I'm going to be drawing actually with more of a blue color for now. That way it's easier to tell when I change this and start drawing over it with pen. The next thing I have to do is draw just like more of like a square, like angled. Like start with angles. I think it makes it easier when you then want to take your drawing to add shape. But for now we'll start with angles. The basic angle of the face here is I like to draw a line here and then kind of divide that in half again, and almost, well, not quite in half, but from here to here, like in thirds. And that line right there, that's going to be where my eye line is going to be. That's how I personally like the proportions of my comic faces. And this right here will be where my eye line is going to be, and my nose is going to come down here, and my nose will be sitting right here on this line. My mouth will be somewhere, this is extreme 3/4 view, but my mouth will be somewhere in here. Keep in mind that the proportions of the mouth is important, and so the proportions of the face in relation to perspective is important. There is perspective to a face, and you want to keep that in mind. That is, when you have let's say the focus line is somewhere here, that's the horizon line, then everything from that line is going to kind of be straight, but everything that is going to be off that line is going to converge to that line. Or if you have horizon line down below the mouth, then the mouth line is kind of converged, the nose line and the eye lines all kind of converge down that way. So it all depends on, or you can have it all, converging one way or the other. It all depends how you want to do it. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to kind of keep the eyes where the eyes are almost straight, but they're kind of at a slight angle here. So I'm going to have this be a little bit higher than this down here. Everything is going to kind of be angled like this. The nose is going to be kind of straight, and the lips are going to be kind of angled up like this here, just barely. And the chin is also going to be angled just a little bit. The next thing is that where that center line in the mouth is, and you just kind of follow it around the head over here, when you draw down from the ear and the jawline, that is where you're going to meet, and then that's where it's going to start to curve into the chin. This gives you the basic shape of the face. We'll add different kinds of comic book shapes you can add to it too, because that's what's cool about comic books, is you can really kind of alter reality to fit what you want it to be. For now, I'm just going to kind of draw a basic shape for a nose here. I like to kind of just go right up to the eyebrow, and then we'll kind of just fit in a basic nostril, and then the nose flare. Sometimes you might be able to see the other part of the nose flare here just a little bit. It all depends on the shape of the nose. I like to sometimes, mark this kind of line here. It just kind of shows where the underside of the nose is versus the side of the nose. Next thing I like to do is to determine how open the mouth is how do I draw the lips. And so how I draw the lips is I'm going to draw them from 3/4 view here. I like to always have typically when I'm drawing sexy faces, I have my middle part of the lip here, right where it goes in the philtrum, more like that rather than like this here. Now some people like that kind of look too, And if obviously you have different kinds of female faces in your comic books, and changing little things like the lips will help change your character. I'm just going to kind of draw the basic shape here. Now basically the edge of the mouth usually comes to like where the eye is. And before we finish the lip or the mouth, I'm going to go ahead and go into the eyes really fast. The nose here kind of runs right into the eyebrow, and the eyebrow will just kind of start to form right here where the nose is at. So we're going to pop that in. Again, drawing the face like I'm doing now without knowing all the measurements and stuff, it takes time to learn all those measurements. So again, I teach that in my course. I highly recommend learning all that before attempting to just draw the face in this style. This is kind of like a shortcut from that. Now the nose is going to block part of the face, and keep in mind you have this like fatty tissue where the eyebrows at here, and I go through all this anatomy and stuff and why the face looks a certain way. And then we have the same angle that the nose comes out, the cheek also comes out. I can decide how far I want that cheek to come out, and then it kind of comes in here, and if I have it more of a rounded shape all the way around here and then kind of dip into where the chin's going to be, I'll have more of a youthful looking face. If I wanted to look more like an older teenager or an older woman, meaning within her 20s or maybe even 30s, I can come in more and kind of dip in and then come down like this here. And there's other tricks too you can do to make things look different. I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and erase some of this here. I'm using Manga Studio 5, which is now called Clip Paint Studio. I used to draw exclusively with Photoshop for, well, not exclusively, but mainly with Photoshop for so many years. I mean many years, way back to when it was, I'm 39 now, and this was way back. I started when I was on Photoshop, getting more serious with drawing Photoshop when I was about, I think, 18 or so. So it's been many years I've been using Photoshop, and more recently, in the last few years here, I found Manga Studio, now Clip Paint, now it's called Clip Paint Studio. You can see that mine still says Manga Studio EX, which is Manga Studio 5 EX, but I just find it really good for drawing, and I find the tools way more accessible and easier. And it's also a lot cheaper in the long run because you don't have to pay that monthly fee for Photoshop. Anyway, kind of have an angle to the forehead here. So this shape right here is going to be the shape you kind of want to focus on for the side of the face. You'll notice that side of the face, because it's going more toward profile, it kind of starts taking on the shape of a profile face, which profile face is kind of not here. You have the nose coming out. Then you have the lip area, the chin. So you kind of have this, oops. You kind of have this shape right here. Of the face in the side view. And if you take that kind of shape, it's just, obviously it's not as exaggerated as a side view. It's less, but it kind of takes that kind of similar shape here because you're starting to see the face from the side view. I think it's very important to understand the whys of things, not just like how to do things, and that's why my tutorials tend to be a little bit longer than what most people's would be. Now, kind of following that same idea, I'm going to kind of follow the eye line up, I'm going to kind of follow the eyebrows up here, and I'm going to kind of just, right now, just kind of put the eyebrow in somewhere right here. I know that the ear is going to kind of, the top of the ear is going to kind of follow into a little bit higher when you're doing the 3/4 view. I'm going to have her keep kind of cute little ears here. And with comic books, you can really minimalize. That's what's so cool about comic books is it really allows you to choose, what kind of style you want to draw in. How real do you want to get? How artistic you want to get? And there's so many different, different ways that people draw comics, and it's really cool to see them all. I'm just going to kind of do a minimalistic approach here to the ear. Most of the ear I think will be covered with hair in this one. So, right, so with the eyes, the general idea is that the bridge of the nose here, or where the nose is coming out from the face, remember it's a 3D it's a 3D thing. So the nose is coming out away from the face, and therefore as it begins to turn away from us, that nose is going to block part of the eyeball. And so you're not going to see the full eye. Now some people, they like to actually just draw starting with part of the eye and kind of foreshorten it. And if it's a more extreme 3/4 view, you're going to start seeing the edge of the eye here as it turns around. Now that's how when I do 3/4 view, I like to do it. And you can give them bigger eyes or small eyes. This is all where you start getting to, I guess, your own personal style. And this is where you start to see the actual edge of the eyeball. And I don't know if I'm actually going to make the eye that big, but yeah, let's go down here just a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to make it even smaller than that. I'm going to start with this typical rhombus type shape that I usually do for my eyes. And what I'm doing here is I'm just choosing not to draw the rest of the eye. Now the eye would come down here, it'd kind of be like more like this here, right? But the nose is blocking part of it. And so this is just a trick you can use in comic books and just kind of not draw that part of the eye. And it kind of sells the idea that it's being hidden. And I don't know, it's just some people use it, some people don't. Some people draw the eye all the way to the edge of the nose. And I do it sometimes too. It just really depends on what kind of style I'm going for. Now the eyelashes will also extend outward here, and they're going to kind of go like this here. And then the other eyelashes are going to come around like this. It's because the eye is actually going around. And I teach all this in other free courses here, or free lessons here on YouTube, and I also teach it in great detail in my How to Draw Pretty Faces course, and also my Anatomy for Figure Drawing course, which is my most popular course to date. And it's got, I think, over 20,000 people that's paid for it. When you want to measure the eye out, you want to measure a full eye. But you got to think the eye comes from here to here, right? And it's being turned around. So you got to think of the full shape of the eye. We're not seeing the full shape of the eye. It's being foreshortened because it's turning away from us. And so I'm going to start from here to here. That's going to be like the length of an actual eye. You take that same length and come out, and that's where you're going to start your other eye. It's important. This is a mistake that I notice a lot of people make when they first start drawing the 3/4 view, is they draw the eyes way too close together. Again, I always start with this kind of rhombus shape here. I think that's the name of the shape. It's like a slanted rectangle. And I want to make sure my eyebrow is high enough. So again, it's on this same slanted line right here. And I want to kind of give. There's certain ways I like to draw eyebrows, and everyone has their own style when it comes to comic books. And I'm just sketching you'll see how it looks more when I actually draw it with the ink. But I'm going to make all this a lot thicker here for her original makeup, and then I'll have the same thing here. I like to start with this kind of shape first, and then I'll decide if I want to, what kind of detail of eyelashes I want to add, and what kind of the eyelid fold, how much detail you want there, how much line do you want there. That's all like style choices. So now we can start to see. I'm going to add maybe just a little bit of shape here to the face, and also you got to kind of decide where is your lighting coming from. Now the back of the neck tends to attach to the back of the head here somewhere. Now in comic books, it's a little different than in real life. I like to kind of draw the ear out further. The head's more narrow. Sometimes a little more squat if I want them to look kind of like that more cute look rather than the longer face. So you're kind of breaking a lot of anatomy rules, but the general idea is still there. And so you want to draw the back of the neck, coming to where attached to the head. Typically the head would come out more in real life, but again, you break rules of reality for comic books. You don't have to, but typically that's what people do. So, and it's not just a stylistic choice. It's also because without all the shading and things like that you have in real life, like from a photograph of a person, then it can actually look a lot different if you try to draw it real. And a good example of this is just take a photograph of online of Jessica Alba or someone that you find pretty. And when you take that photograph, draw it and just trace right over it. just so, make it on one layer and then take the layer and turn the opacity down. Make another layer on top of that one by just clicking the button here. You have a layer on top of that, whatever program you're using. And then on that layer, you want to draw on top of the photograph. And draw with an ink pen and just kind of trace everything and then make the layer underneath disappear. That is the photograph. Make the photograph disappear and just see your tracing. You're going to see something doesn't look right. Don't add no shading. And you'll see something doesn't look right. Like the space between the bottom lip and the chin will look really big, because it's the shading that makes it actually look smaller than it actually is. And these are little tricks, and we're not going to use that much shading to kind of do away with that. All right, so now we're starting to get an idea here, I think, of, I'm going to have her looking off into this direction. Typically, I don't know, I think that if the face is looking off into a particular direction, then we get, I don't know, I like it. It just gives it more, rather than just looking straight. Because typically when a person is looking somewhere, they're not just looking straight ahead usually, but sometimes they will be looking straight ahead. But if I'm just doing a portrait face that's not meant to be part of a comic thing, I used to have them looking in a certain, even if they're like talking, whatever. And this is a panel, a head panel where the person's talking. Of course, I'll put some emotion on the face. And you can already see that she kind of has a little bit of motion on her face, but she's looking, at this way, or she'll be looking the other way. It's very rare I'll just have them looking just kind of straight ahead. It's kind of boring. Anyway, so with the lip here, typically the lip matches the pupils when you're from the front view. From the 3/4 view, that's not the case. The edge of the lip doesn't reach that far down. Instead, it reaches more like maybe somewhere about here, if you want to, like as far as you want to take it. But I'm going to give her kind of a puckered lip look here. I'm going to kind of round the lips out here. Now, when the mouth is open, it kind of has this kind of look where it comes down here to the center and then kind of comes out like this. That's the basic shape you want to keep in mind. The inside shape is usually kind of go like this and then kind of come to maybe a point here and coming down. And this will be like the shape of the inside of the mouth. Depending on how open you want the mouth and what shape you're going for, whether they're talking or whatever. If you want to get kind of more realistic with it, then you can take the middle part of the lip. So you have 3 parts of the lips of the upper lip. You have this middle part here. So let's just say this is the lip coming down from the front view. You have this middle section here. You have this section. You have this section. These are the 3 sections that I think about a lip. With the bottom lip, I usually just think about 2 sections, and that is this section here and this section here. If you think about the lip that way, makes it easier to think about in 3/4 view and what part is visible. So as the lip begins to turn away from us, we're seeing a lot of that middle section of the lip here. So, and it usually extends past this line here. So you want to extend past that just a little bit, and that's where the middle section of your lip is going to be. And this is going to be kind of center line coming at a slant. But anyway, this will be the middle section of the lip here, and then the other section, that third section, that's the middle section, and you have that third section here, and here, right? It kind of looks like a dog, but you get the idea. That part is an extend down and out, following that kind of shape that I had previously put in, where it kind of comes here to the middle, and then it's going to come out with the bottom lip. But it comes down like that, and it gets foreshortened because it's being covered by this part of the lip here. And then we're going to come down something like this. This will be kind of a lot in shade, because it's being shadowed. And then the other part of the lip that comes right here, this part you'll be able to see very well, and it's going to kind of come down like so. Basic idea. I would then shape this different here, and so let's take the eraser, make it a smaller eraser here. But yeah, now you kind of get the idea there if you want to get more, like I said, more realistic with it. And then that same center line kind of comes at an angle, and you're going to have the center of your bottom lip here. Now the bottom of the lip is going to kind of come out here like this, and we're not going to see much of it on that side. That is, that part of it is shorter, and this part of it's a lot bigger. And this is something that at first I draw all the lines usually connecting, but when we get into the inking part really fast, I'm going to show you like how you can use style to really change. And so now we start to see that shape right there, that I was talking about before. I'll draw that in red just so you can see it, this shape right here. Okay, so this gives the, why is it not undoing? Okay, there it goes. Go back to blue here. So this gives that shape, that kind of like, you know, sexy kind of comic book character. And then you want to do the hairline. So the hairline starts in the back of the head, and it comes and it follows forward like this. So we're going to raise it off the top of the head. Now there's all different kinds of hairstyles you can go with here from the 3/4 view. And actually, I mean, there's different hairstyles in general that you can go with. From the 3/4 view, those hairstyles might look a little different. You could have, you know, the hairstyle come down where it comes up like this a little bit. So it comes up like that, and it comes up like this. And then it kind of just flows here, and you have the bangs. And again, I teach how to draw hair in different ways. And I have, well, in different, I mean different ways, I mean different courses. And so I teach really in my pinups course, I teach how to draw hair to a great degree. Actually, the pinups course is how to draw pinups course is really an interesting course because it's not just about drawing pinups and sexy women. It's about drawing women in general, and it goes through all the basic proportions and the figure and hands and feet, but how to draw them very elegantly, you know, for like fashion design or pinups. But it works great for comics as well. And I have some really cool like tips on how to draw hair in that one, and I go step by step how to draw it. But I kind of think of hair as a halo that drips down over the face, and then I cut into it to make the hairstyle I want. But this is one hairstyle we could go with, and it kind of comes down like that. There's other hairstyles we can go with as well. And, you know, I'm gonna keep it different because I typically use that kind of hairstyle a lot. It's going undo redo for some reason. Okay, there it goes. Now it's undoing. I don't know why it was doing that. I guess I have redo set to a slight slide slant of that button. It's a button on the Cintiq 13X. Makes it really easy to draw like this. For those that are wondering what I'm drawing with the Cintiq 13X screen. You can actually buy the 12WX now for a lot cheaper. I actually still have mine. I was holding on to it as a backup just in case that I didn't like this one or something. This is the touchscreen version, and I thought I might really dislike that, but I really like it because I can use my fingers right now, and I can zoom in and out, and I can touch it, and I can even turn the canvas and things like that. So it's really cool. And I think like that, you just grab with your two fingers, and you can turn the canvas, and just, I don't know, I really like it a lot. You can also turn the canvas here by increments with these buttons here in Manga Studio, or again, Clip Paint Studio if you have that version of it, the newer version. Now the teeth, you got to decide, you know, how much of the teeth are being visible. Are you kind of looking more down, looking more straight ahead, or kind of looking more up at the character? If you're kind of looking more up at the character, you'll see more of the nostrils, and you're going to see other things as well. Typically when I draw noses, I don't really like this style for the comic book noses, so I'm going to change that. But anyway, so just draw a little line like this sometimes is what I like to do. You're going to, you'll see that in that, or excuse me, I was going to go back to my tablet. So the touchscreen, I have to wear a glove on my right hand. I just take those like stretchy gloves you buy. You know, they're cheapo. You can buy them at the Dollar Tree sometimes, but I usually just buy them at Walmart, and they're just stretchy gloves. And I cut off the fingers of the thumb and the two fingers I mainly draw with, so my ring finger, middle finger, and I leave and only halfway. And the main thing is I want the pinky to be covered because it's your pinky knuckle and stuff that if you rub the screen, it tends to want to move around if it's the touchscreen version. But anyway, I recommend the touchscreen version. I think it's very well worth it. But what I was going to say is I've been holding on to that graphics tablet for so long, and I might actually do a giveaway for it, or maybe sell it for really inexpensive for someone that really needs it. And I like to help people out. Like, I don't need the money, so that's why I've hold on to it for so long. Because I'm like, I could have sold it on eBay a long time ago for like, you know, $600, no problem. And I was like, you know, I really don't need the money. You know, it's not a big deal. So I'd rather help somebody out. I'd rather help someone out that really needs it. So if you are, you know, a good artist and you have you have a good portfolio on DeviantArt or something like that, feel free to message me. You can't leave it in the comments because if you put a link in the comments, it'll go to spam. I might not see it. So personally message me here on here, or you could, I think my website has a contact button. You can message me there, but I can't remember if I put one on there or not. Either way, masterpaintingnow.com. If there's a contact, you can contact me that way. Or what you can do is leave, and we're not done with this tutorial, by the way. We still got a long ways to go. Not long ways, but at least finish the hair. Then we got to ink it real fast. And I can ink pretty quickly because I've been doing it a while. But anyway, so if you really want that Cintiq tablet, it's still in excellent condition. Works fantastic. And I actually, for a while there, I was like kept onto it because I was like, oh man, I don't know if I like it better than I like this one. I've grown to like the 13X touchscreen better. I think I like some of the button choices better on the 12WX. I really like that the slide bar that was just so awesome for zooming in and out. But now I got my fingers, I can zoom in and out with that, so it's a little bit faster. But once you get used to doing it with your two fingers, it's like a tablet. Anyway, it's really cool. But anyway, the 12WX is an excellent drawing tablet. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic. I would have no problem if this one broke, just going right back to that one. But I would just go and buy another tablet if this one broke. But nonetheless, it's fantastic. I actually like the smaller screen tablets versus the bigger ones. I don't have to move my hands around so much, so my arm doesn't get tired as fast. But I can always zoom in, if I need to do certain details and things like that. Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing it for like really inexpensive. I'm talking super inexpensive, like $200. Now keep in mind, I'll only use it for a few years, and it's gonna last you probably the rest of your drawing career, until you can afford to buy something else. It'll easily last 5-10 years. These things are built like awesome. And anyway, so just look up the Cintiq tablet, the 12WX. I think was what it was called. That used to be before the new 13. Touchscreen version. They might even have a newer one now. I haven't even looked. Been so happy with this one. But if you really want that and feel like you really deserve it, then you'll find a way to contact me, either here on YouTube. I don't always check my YouTube things though, so it's better to contact me on my website if I have a thing. I'm gonna go and check my website really fast and make sure you can even contact me that way. All right, so cool. I do have a contact on my website. So masterpaintingnow.com, click on contact, contact me and say, hey, this is why I believe I deserve the tablet for only $200. Believe me, that's super cheap. You're not going to find a used one for cheaper than that. You can go ahead and try. Look at the refurbished ones, look at used ones on eBay, Amazon. Unless it's a knockoff, you're not going to find the Wacom Cintiq 12 for that inexpensive. It's just a crazy price. And matter of fact, if someone makes a good enough impression on me, I might just go ahead. You know what? Just go ahead and send me $100 PayPal. It's yours. So if you're really interested in that, let me know. And if I feel like someone, and you have to show me your talent too. I need to know that you're talented, that you're going somewhere. Because I want to just give it to someone that's only going to use it for a little bit, and then realize that I want to make sure that art is something you're going to take seriously, and it's something you're going to do for a long time. It's something that you actually want to do for a long time. Maybe you want to be a comic book artist, whatever. So show me your comic book art if you already have a comic, so like maybe you have a Top Web Comics, or you have it online somewhere, an online comic. Show me your deviant art, whatever you want to do. Just show me that you have talent. That's something that you're in it for the long run. And yeah, so the lucky person that can convince me, if there's anyone out there that can convince me that they deserve it, I'd be more than happy to give it to you for $100. If not, I'm just going to throw it on eBay probably for like $400 or something. Just because it's taking up space, I'm moving, and it's just one less item I'll have to move. So yeah, all right, let's go ahead and continue on with this. So what kind of hairstyle should we give her? I'm just kind of debating on the kind of hairstyle we should give her. I'm thinking maybe we can do is start, sometimes when I do hair, I like to kind of zoom out when I'm doing my hair to kind of get a full visual of the hair. I'm going to have the hairline kind of off to the side by this side of her eye, so it's not going to be in the center. Some people part the hair directly in the center. Some people part it more to the side. So in this case, this was the side hair, and we'll kind of add some volume. And I'm going to have it to where it kind of comes up like this. I like to draw basic shapes first. Kind of imagine the hair in basic shapes. This is going to be where the sideline is. We're going to kind of come out somewhere, not too far into the forehead, but somewhere right here. We'll have some little hairs right here kind of coming into covering the ear just a little bit. Think of it hair in layers. It all depends on the hairstyle and how many layers it might have. I'm going to draw a couple pieces there. These pieces coming off, and this is going to be coming kind of flat here off this hairline. And then I'm going to have some of my hair kind of coming up and out like this to just show volume. and that the bangs are gonna kind of come across like this here. So I think the hairstyles will kind of be like that, and then maybe like just a little bit of whip to some of these little hairline like that. Let's see here, kind of draw like this, kind of maybe kind of draw it a little bit more puffy. Again, this is kind of going off and out of distance, these top bangs here. And then I'm going to have it to where you don't really see the hair much here, maybe just a little couple wisp. But for the most part, you don't see the hair again until down here. And let's say we have kind of long hair, a couple wisps of hair there, and it comes down and something like that. Some of the hair might cover her shoulder here, so it might come over and start to cover the shoulder a little bit. So just a couple pieces of hair there. And then I start thinking about clumps. I think about in shapes, different clumps and shapes. Just kind of start coming off with it. And I'm gonna kind of keep it minimalistic, otherwise it'll take forever to draw this here. And we'll have a few pieces of hair maybe even coming on the inside of the ear and neck here, kind of just covering part of the shoulder. And then the rest of it is going to come down. We'll have the shoulder come like that and kind of, right, so you get the idea. So I think that'll work. And I don't know, I might want to make the forehead a little bit shorter, so I might come across with the hair like that there. Right, so that's pretty cool. Really fast here. And, you can add more or less detail. Sometimes, some artists will really focus on those center lines only, and the outside lines they'll just give a few little details. The outside lines, I like that a lot. Others will do it to where it's a typical style I like to do. That is, if the light's coming from the right-hand side predominantly, then the right-hand side will have less lines and a lot of open spaces, and the inside or the side furthest away from the light will be more darker lines. But let's go ahead and give her almost a completely type of lip here. So I'm going to kind of have that same center line, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of focus on that center line first this time. So I'm going to have this little line here. We'll come like this. We're going to come up again the same way. We already know this. We already know the main shape. I'm going to kind of do more of this kind of minimalistic approach here. I'm just going to kind of show like that. I'm going to kind of show the lip here. And then maybe I'll make the top lip a little bit shorter. I can actually move the lip here, so it's not a big deal that it's doing this. I'm going to minimalistically cut off that part. That part of the lip is not going to be there at all when I finish this. Then we're going to come down with this shape right here. This is going to come right down like so. We'll have some lines like that, and I think I want to show the teeth like right here. And this is where you can decide again, like how much teeth would you actually see. I'm gonna come straight across and stop with the line right there, and I'll have this line coming out. It's kind of really similar, but I'm just kind of changing it a little bit. Maybe make the bottom lip not as big. And another trick I want to show is you can actually draw the side of the chin coming down like this, and coming forward. Push the nose out further here. If you wanted to. There's just so many different comic styles, it's insane, but I like to sometimes draw that line right there and then have the nose coming off like this. If you do that, I recommend leaving this this part of the eye kind of not fully drawn. And then sometimes I like to come with this side of with the eyelid and coming in this way here. Just kind of, or even not even down. And this, just to kind of show what I'm gonna be doing when I ink it, I'm gonna kind of come more straight like this and like that with the eye. And this will be might be kind of thick here, something like this right here. You can come up higher with the, you can really exaggerate how high you come up with this shape right here and out, so more like that. There's my eraser. So kind of come more like that, and then again you want the eyebrow kind of attached to that part here. I can give more space to the eye, but my eyes are kind of large, so I'm kind of stuck with less space. You can also, not draw fully out here, but I'm going to have my eyelashes coming out like this here. And then I'm going to have some of the lower lashes coming here. And I like to sometimes draw like really crazy, like lots of makeup on my characters to where it's like almost just abnormally, doesn't look even remotely, it's a style, it's not about realism. And again, that's what a lot of people I think forget when they're drawing comics is we're really going for style over realism. I don't know, I was thinking about maybe having her eyes look like they're closed a little bit, but I'm going to kind of have this kind of come up more like this. I'm going to kind of change the style to match that over there. So we'll kind of come like this here. I'm keeping it short though, closer to the eye. And then I might even have just a little shape right here just to kind of show that indent. And I don't always draw the eye to the very end here. Sometimes you can leave this right here open so there's a whiteness there. Or sometimes you can even add, the little part where you might see the little piece of flesh that you can draw. That's up to you. I like to keep it minimalistic, so this is actually going to be nothing there. At some point in here I'll start erasing some of the lines so I can just start to see what it's going to look like. And then you got to decide on there's so many things you got to decide on actually when it comes to shadowing and shading. What angle is the character being viewed from, things like that. Well, we already know what angle the character is being viewed from. What I meant to say is what angle the light is coming at the character at. So if you do it this way, I would do something like that, and sometimes I even have it to where it either gets light or doesn't fully connect right there. And that's like really extreme 3/4 view, and you can see that you get a pretty cute look that way. Either one I like. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll kind of have that line coming out, but I'll have this all connect here. So I'm just showing you different things you can do to make the character have this more extreme 3/4 view here. You can even have more of a pointy chin, have this come out more like this. Another trick is you can stop right here and then just come down and hint at this right here. So you're not drawing the full jawline here. You're just kind of hinting at where things are and where they stop. And this is all different things you can do to add style and also to add coolness to how the comic looks. And I like to at least sometimes, instead of just a straight line right down, I like to at least kind of hint at where the curvature starts to happen. And that just sometimes looks cooler than drawing the full thing. I like to usually see some in the neck, but if the hair covers it, it's fine too, as long as it still looks cool. We can kind of draw the part of that muscle here, and if you want, you can kind of, like I already started drawing some of that. What in Mills, what would be the Adam's apple? Not everyone draws that when they're drawing comic book females, and then I can kind of start to hint at this shape here. Where the collarbone's going to be. And you can either leave this white, which is what I typically do when I draw this style. I typically just leave it white. You might even kind of start to hint at teeth if you want to. You could even, let's say it's being more for the bottom view, you can like kind of hint at some bottom teeth. Like that, for example. Let's say you can kind of see the bottom teeth. But I typically leave it. I go for a more minimalistic approach where I don't want to see teeth unless it's like really more open mouth. But that's just, so that's just one way to go about it. And you can see she's starting to look cute. And this is obviously a certain kind of character that I just drew. And I've never drawn this character before, so I can like mess with it and kind of change it. We're gonna have some pulling behind the ear, so I'll have some lines coming out like that. I'm gonna show you some tricks here with when I want to ink the hair with the lines I like to use, just to kind of add that shape. And then sometimes I'll kind of minimalistically just kind of boom, show the edge of the hair like that right there and kind of overlapping. Again, this is a piece of hair that's sticking out. This is going to be solid. Right now at this stage, I like to add some basic shadowing, like what's the shadowing going to be like. So let's get into that really fast, and then we'll end it off with just doing some quick inking. So in the minimum, what I like to do for shadowing is I like to add a little bit of shadowing on the inside of the eye right here, and kind of coming out with a shape kind of like this. And this right here is going to come all the way into the eyelid, and then this part here is going to be where the light hits. And so I'm not going to add shadowing there. I will add shadowing to the part of the jaw right here. And you can even add a little bit of you know, lines right here to show like the, you know, blush or something like that if you want to. It's up to you. But at the very minimum, I like to show just a little bit of shadow right here, regardless of what angle the shadow is coming from. Usually this kind of gets off into shadow. As even though the light's coming from the right, it's coming from the top right, so it's kind of coming down. So this plane is turning away from the light and being hidden a little bit. And of course, under the chin is being hidden as well. So you may want to make sure to have that there. I like to come all the way across like this, and even have just part of this chin just kind of hidden here a little bit in shadow, because it's the under part of the chin. And then this whole under part of the lip here, I usually put it in shadow. This whole outside lip over here is going to be in shadow. And then it's going to kind of get less as it comes over here. I'll probably add a little highlight here, or maybe I'll add the highlight to the edge here, and I'll kind of simulate that with also the lines not being fully there. So if you don't want to forget, maybe you can start to add that in there now before you even ink. Again, this is not being fully connected right here. You can actually get very minimalistic with it and not connect a lot of it. I really like this line here to show, though, this outside line right here when I'm doing the 3/4 view, because it kind of sells it. And of course, all this inside line, I think is important. But other than that, a lot of this outside line here can be disappeared, and this line here can be. I can even come further down, disappear that even more. I could add, you know, a little bit of highlights there, for example. Maybe I want this right here to have a little bit of shadow on the lip, and I can also add a little bit of shadow to the bottom part of the lip here. And then the whole side of the face here, this is all going to be a little bit in shadow because it's all turning away from us and turning away from the light. Now if you want to add a philtrum, that's up to you. Some people on 3/4 view will add just a little line right here like that. What other people will do is they'll kind of go on the inside here and kind of go like this, just add this little line like that. Some people just will do nothing at all. Some people just add just a tiny little line, just to kind of show that there is a philtrum there. Some people do it with shadow. So if the light's coming from this direction, this is a dip, right? So the light is actually hitting this part, and the shadow is going to be on this part. So they might add just a little bit of shadow like that there. Just kind of show that, and then just leave the light there for, and then you have a little bit of shadow for the nose coming down. If you want to add just a little bit of, you know, I'm going to add this whole bottom part of the nose, just a little bit of shadow here. And then you might, you know, add just a little bit of shape if you want to the nose shadow there. Again, that's completely up to you whether or not you want nose shadow or not. A lot of comic books aren't going to have it there. Maybe they might just add a couple lines just to show, hey, there is shadow there. Now on the inside of the eye here, I know that there's going to be a lot of shadow on this side of the eye and all on the inside of the lid there as well. And sometimes I'll even add shadow on the outside over here. But definitely on the outside of the head here, and just kind of come in with a few lines like that. And I like to, you know, come in with a few lines like this because this is where the main light's going to be. And sometimes I'll kind of add a little bit of shadow here just to kind of show that, you know, the nose has shape to it. And that's pretty much it. You don't need much shadow when it comes to comic books. You know, it goes a long way. Definitely all this hair here is going to be colored in shadow, and most of it's going to be, you know, one solid colored shape. And then you might add a little bit of, you know, highlight details. But yeah, I might add just a little bit of messiness to her hair there. Again, coming up and around to show the volume of the hair there. And this is more coming down, being tucked into the ear. So, and then these hairs are kind of coming outside there. Yeah, so that's pretty much cool. And now we're ready to go ahead and ink this thing. And again, I might, you know, just leave, you know, I might just throw a little bit of shadow, and I'll show you how I do that when I finish the inking. It'll be on a separate layer just in case I don't like it. Now this, again, this is one of my own styles that I like to draw in. And you notice that it's more of kind of shorter, squatter head rather than the long, skinny heads you see a lot. And I like it. I think it's really cute. Adds a lot of cuteness factor with the bigger eyes. It's almost like a manga American style blend, and it's something I like to draw. But you know, everyone has different styles, and you know, you have to learn how to first draw anatomically correct, you know, human beings before you start kind of adding that style, that comic book style, or at least, you know, learn the main typical types of comic book styles, again, which I teach on how to draw, you know, pretty comic faces in that course. If you learn that first, then you can start, you know, stretching different things like making the eyes bigger, or you'll start developing your own style. There'll just be certain ways that you like to draw things, and that's going to start developing your style. So, all right, let's go ahead and finish this up here really fast by adding another layer. I'm actually going to turn down this layer just so I can see better. Sometimes I'll even lock this layer so I can't accidentally draw on it. And now I'm going to add black. And this is where I like to zoom in. And again, here is where I'm going to add minimalistic approach to things. I'm going to add a space right there. I might just slightly hint at the nostril there. A lot of how I ink has to do with the minimalistic approach of how I'm approaching the subject matter. I'm gonna kind of almost drop the line there. I'm gonna come thicker like this. So how you know, where you choose to draw thick and thin lines, I mean, this is a whole art form in and of itself that is inking, and that's why oftentimes there'll be different inkers. I'm gonna add just a couple of dots here just to kind of show that's where it would connect. But that's why you have, like, you know, different inkers usually than you do. I'm gonna kind of, oops. Actually, I'm just gonna kind of hint at where the shadow will be instead of I wasn't draw some lines. You can sometimes, you know, shadow with just like drawing a few lines coming through like that, and that will kind of give the hint at, you know, the line work. And I'm gonna leave it up to a different style. I might draw a couple lines on this side though. Anyway, the inking, you know, it's something that's so of its own thing that oftentimes, and also to save time, comic books will have different inkers than pencilers, because that way they can bust out the comic faster. The more people that have working on the comic, you know, the faster they can get it done. So if you have a different, notice I don't connect it all the way to the face, the lines. If I were to connect this all the way to the face, sometimes it kind of looks weird. To continue where you connect, in that case, that line actually looks fine connected there. You just want to be careful not to connect too many lines to the face, otherwise it kind of looks weird. But yeah, you know, it's more streamlined, so it kind of saves time. And that's gonna be one strand of hair, and so I want that to be clear. And so maybe I'll kind of come like this, like that. Anyway, so to streamline things, you'll have one person that does the coloring, and then you'll have another person kind of draw a certain streak there. What I like to do a lot, if you haven't noticed, is I'll show it up here. I like to, let's say here's a hairline. I'm going to kind of show that this hair is coming off like this here. Is with the hair, I like to kind of come up like this, draw the line, and draw another line right next to it and kind of connect it together. And I don't do this with every single line I do, but with a lot of lines I like to do that, and it kind of just adds a cool kind of effect to the line. I'm going to kind of change the hairstyle here. This I'm going to do in complete black. Sometimes I would shade it, but I decide, you know, I'm just going to go complete black with that one. But yeah, where to choose your lines and how you choose them, it's really an art form on itself. And I've been wanting to do a how to ink comic books course for a while now, and I haven't done one yet because I'm just not sure that many people really want to know how to do it. You know, it's something that needs to be learned if you want to, especially if you want to, you know, do all your own comic yourself. Then you have no choice. You have to learn how to ink your comics, and inking really is an art form in itself. And you know, sometimes there's really good pencilers, and they're really good at creating the creatures and all that kind of stuff. And that's, you know, like penciler is like one of the hardest jobs because you're doing so much stuff. You know, you're designing the creatures, you're designing the characters, you're designing the clothes. Sometimes I'll have concept artists that help out with a lot of that stuff, but typically as a penciler, you're doing all that yourself. You know, and that can be difficult for some people to design all that everything, and you're designing a whole world. You know, you're imagining the world and you're creating it with the as the penciler. Whereas the inker, you know, he's designing the lines himself. You know, how to represent that work with, you know, his inking style. And everyone has a different inking style that they like to use. But I'm more of a minimalistic kind of inking style. But I definitely like, you know, showing some of the idea of where, like I'm gonna make these lines kind of thicker to show where the light's at and where the light's not. I might even kind of lightly hint at that there, like that line right there. The rest I'll leave that to shading. But yeah, there's, you know, sometimes an inker is used even if the project's smaller and the guy's like an excellent penciler, but he's like, you know what, I'm not that good of an inker, and so he'll hire an inker even if it's an independent project because he just feels like his inking, you know, isn't what he wants. You know, he's like, there's this, you know, he's like, I can ink a little bit, but I just really want a certain style of inking, and he can't do it, and he can't make it happen. You know, but he can pencil the crap out of a comic and really come up with the awesome penciling. But yeah, so you can actually get a job just being an inker, which is basically kind of like tracing in a way, but it's so much more than that. As you can see, I mean, there's so many choices I'm making right now I'm not even talking about. I've talked about it before in other videos and whatnot, but definitely something I think I would love to teach one day. If you think there's a good enough audience for it, let me know, and I'll definitely make a course on it if I get enough feedback from it saying, hey, I definitely would love to have a course on just inking. I'm gonna have all this. I'll highlight her eye later. You know, that's actually part of my inking process, and that's with just pure white. I'm just gonna kind of add that distinction between the eye right away. That way you can kind of see that, and that way even if the colorist, which would be me in this case, but that way they couldn't mess up the way I want the highlights to be showing. Right, so that's pretty much it for inking. Like I said, very minimalistic approach, and then I'm going to get rid of this layer here and go into another layer, and I'm going to use this brush here. I love using the transparent watercolor brush. It's just fantastic for adding in, and I'm going to use kind of a gray color since we're going to keep this gray, but just fantastic for adding in the shadows. I have her whole eye there, kind of shade in a little bit here, a little bit there. Like I said, I'm going to have that whole shape coming out right there a little bit. I'm just going to kind of shade this in here. And I'm wondering, oh, you know what I actually did wrong? Okay. I was wondering why that was not looking right. I almost messed up there. I was supposed to put this layer above it, and you can actually, you know, color the layer. So like I'm gonna change this to purple. This is what the typical color in my mind that symbolizes shading. This color I can change to use a different color and then just use black, and that tells me that's my inking layer. You can also name them if you want to, but I only use a few layers, so coloring them really helps me kind of figure out what layer is what. All right, let's go back here and do this really fast. I'm going to put it underneath that layer. make sure that, okay, I actually colored them wrong. I had it right the first time. Alright, sorry about that. So let's go ahead and make this black. Yeah, so I need to make that layer black if it'll let me. Okay, there we go. And this layer I'll make purple. Okay. You son of a bitch. I accidentally selected both layers. You can color multiple layers at once. Again, make sure that's okay. Now we're on the right layer here. Let's go ahead and get this done. I'm gonna add just a little bit of color to the eye here. Again, this is, black and white. If I was doing color, some of that would be done in color. I'm gonna go with a slightly bigger brush here for some of this stuff here. I'm just gonna lightly color all this in. This will be a little bit darker. And again, this all comes down to personal preference of how much detail do you want in there or not. And sometimes I'll use what's called the cutting method. So I'll cut into my own lines with the eraser. So I'll kind of make it bigger, then kind of cut back into it. And let's see, let's use a smaller brush here for the lips. Again, I want this part to be darker and then kind of come up like this. I'm going to come in with the eraser to make the lips have the I'm gonna add just a little light gray so it's not totally white inside the lips there. And I might even use this a slightly darker color right here just to make a distinction between the inside of the lip here and the teeth, so the teeth do look like a slightly different color. Go back to this lighter color here. I'm going to kind of just shade in some of the bottom of this nose and kind of shade in some of this here. Come up with that shape right there again. Come in with the inside of the eyelid. Some of that there. Need a bigger brush to kind of add in just some of the shape here. And then the hair again is going to be mostly all shaded in. And I'm doing a very quick method of shading because I don't want to take too long. But this is actually something that actually works for comic books. You can actually use it, and then you come in with your eraser and just kind of cut into some of these parts that you don't want there to be any coloring outside of the lines, basically. And then you can come back in with a smaller brush and you can kind of add some more details to some of this here. This side here is going to be darker, the other side is going to be lighter of the hair. And for that, again, I'm just going to use an eraser rather than coloring back over it again like that. And that's kind of adds just a little bit of shape. I can use a much smaller brush and kind of add in that kind of highlight line. So it kind of has shape to it. You can also use a harder ink brush, and then in that case I would recommend using an actual white. So if you wanted to add a white highlight, I'd use the ink brush and maybe not go totally white, but this right here would just be to like that there. You can also add maybe a little bit of highlight in here. And I'm going to come in and I want this to be like so. Then I want to really add in that highlight to the lip here. Maybe just a little bit of line here just to kind of show like so. And that's pretty much it. You might want to just add a couple little white highlights on this side of the hair, maybe even some right here where light might hit. And that's black and white for you. So now she's all done. Now this is definitely, like I said, a very stylistic approach, and it's a style that I've more been developing recently, and it's different than my typical style. If you've seen a lot of my stuff that I do, you'll see this, hey, that's kind of different than what he usually does, or stuff I've done in the past. I haven't done an art tutorial in a while. I do apologize for that, so now you got a really, really long one. But it's one that shows and teaches a lot of stuff, and that's where my style of teaching is different than a lot of other people. I could have easily made this tutorial, be 10 minutes long, but you wouldn't have learned much from it. It'd be more of like, here's how I draw eyes and a nose, just kind of draw the nose like this, draw the mouth like that. But when you explain why you're doing things, that's so important because now you can take all this information, and yeah, it took longer to learn it, but there's no quick way to learn how to draw awesome. You know, if you want to draw awesome comics, you got to put the time into it. And so if I don't teach the whys, it's kind of like a book with just or not comic book. It's kind of like having um, a how to draw book without any writing. You know, just a bunch of pictures. That's not going to teach you how to draw anything. And if you do read a draw book like my best-selling book on Amazon, which is How to Draw Awesome Figures, if you just go through that and don't read it, you're not really going to learn anything. You know, you'll learn a little bit maybe just by drawing the stuff over and over again by, what I've drawn. But if you read every word, that's where you really learn. If you listen to every word of this video, that's where you really learn. If you just skip through a lot of it and don't listen to it and like whatever, you're missing out on so much knowledge, and it's that knowledge that helps you become a better artist. And that's where, that's why I like to share the whys of things. And of course, this is just the whys of how I use this approach. But there's a whole other set of knowledge I have underneath all of this that I teach in my courses, and one in particular, how to draw pretty comic faces. That course teaches all the underlining factors that you need, like for the 3/4 view and stuff like that, the different measurements and things to get faces to look the way that you want them to look. So, and sometimes I go with different types of 3/4 faces depending on the angle and the approach I want for the entire comic book. What's the style that I want to do anyway. So, but hopefully this has helped you guys. And if it's helped you at all, then please do me a favor. First off, hit that subscribe button, although it really doesn't mean much because it seems like people don't really get updates from YouTube because YouTube doesn't seem to like me. So what you could do is go to masterpaintingnow.com, and let me make sure it's still on there because I think it is. Go to masterpaintingnow.com and then go to free newsletter. So it's at the top there. Click on free newsletter. Now I hardly ever I haven't sent out a newsletter in so long. Seriously, it's been such a long time since I've sent out a newsletter. But I try to every now and again. And anyway, so if you go there and sign up, just on the right hand side, just put your email address in there. And all I do is I let people know sometimes when I come out with a cool new video, a cool new drawing video, because I use this channel for other things other than just drawing videos. Like the last video I just posted was all about my it's very highly demanded and people were asking for it, but it was a long time ago, so I don't know how many views it's going to get. I just put it out yesterday, but it's my new theory of everything. And it's really cool because people are asking like, hey, what's your philosophy? And depending on what kind of, I'll be doing more philosophy videos anyway because I want a place to have them forever, just in case I go kaput and I'm gone. At least I have a record of what it was that came up with philosophy wise, with how the world works and stuff like that, and within my worldview. But anyway, nonetheless, I do other things on this channel besides drawing. I won't be sending videos like that. So if I come out with a really cool new tutorial like this one, then that's when I'll put out a newsletter. Or if I ever come out with a new course again, it's been over a year now, I think now, so I come out with a new course. But I am going to come out with a new course. I'm just debating whether or not to do the inking course or to do the anatomy for comic books. And it'll be a much more quicker course, like 5 hours to 10 hours at the most. Just to get an idea, my full anatomy course for figure drawing is about 65 hours. And it needs to be that long because there's that much information that you need to know in order to have a full understanding of anatomy for drawing figures if you want to draw like very realistic figures. But for comic books, you don't need that much information, so it's more of like a crash course in anatomy. And I think that is something that a lot of people would really like. People that are like, you know what, I don't want to spend 65 hours like learning how to draw anatomy, really good, and that way I can draw people from my mind. I can still do one to where it'll have all the essential information that's necessary that you have to know in order to draw from your imagination. And that's what this is about, by the way. Everything I teach is how to draw from imagination. It's not how to look at stuff and draw it, because not anyone can do that, but anyone that has artistic talent can do that. But how do you make something up from your imagination? If you're drawing a comic book, you need to be able to make stuff up from your imagination, right? And you can't just be like, well, what does the spaceship look like? You got to design the spaceship. You got to be able to do that. What does my person look like? You have to design your person and your style, you know, and it'll come in time. You know, style is something that I thought I would never develop, but over time I've developed my own style, and it just comes with time. You just got to, you know, keep pushing the envelope. And I kind of have a lesson here on the YouTube channel where I kind of teach how to start developing your style, and it's really useful. And some of the same techniques I use to develop my style. And over time, though, your style will naturally develop itself if you just keep drawing and keep drawing, and try not to copy what other people are doing, and just kind of do your own thing and be like, hey, I think a nose looks cool like this, and you know, if I leave this line out, you know, or add that line in, and things like that. So you'll just naturally develop your own style when you start drawing from imagination. If you're drawing from other people's work, or you're drawing from photographs, or you're drawing from, you know, 3D programs and things like that, you're probably not going to develop much of a style. It's when you learn how to draw this stuff from imagination, which I teach in the course, and you have to just see it to understand how it works. And there's some free lessons on there. So all my courses, if you click on them, there's some free lessons. Oh, by the way, I think Udemy is doing a sale right now on my courses for like $10. So, and also on my website, masterpaintingnow.com, I always have those on sale, so that people that can't afford to pay the $100 can get it for like 10 or 15 bucks or whatever. And anyway, so if you check out that course, you'll just look at some of the free lessons. Those free lessons should give you an idea of, you know, how I teach. But anyway, understanding the proportions of the different views of the face, because there's different proportions from the side view, from the 3/4 view, and from the front view. And when you learn those proportions and you learn the map, and it's very tedious and it's boring to draw from that map and to do the measurements every single time. But if you learn it and memorize it, eventually it becomes part of your mind. Then you know you won't need the map anymore. You'll be able to draw without it, like I just did. I just drew without a map. You just do some basic shapes and throw it down. But I'm basing that off of the knowledge that I have of that map. That map's super important. And then I can kind of change a little bit and add some different flair to it to make it my own style. And yeah, so definitely want to do that. It's super, super important. I cannot stress that enough. And again, the whys to do things as well. Like, why is the eye? I didn't really get into it here. You know, why is the eye that way? But in my anatomy course, I go into it deeper. Actually very, very deep, exactly why the eye looks the way it does from different angles. But I also teach in some of my other courses, like how to draw manga faces, how to draw pretty comic faces, how to draw pinups. I think I teach in that a little bit. But you know, the why the eye, because it's, you know, it's a sphere inside of a socket, and because of the head turning away from us. And I also show, like, anyway, I show it all the whys of to do stuff, because once you understand the why, then you can actually draw it better. Like, way better. You'll be able to go, oh yeah, if I draw it from the sight up view, you'll know why you can see the underside of the top lid, because you're looking up at the character, and you understand the anatomy of the eye, which is super important to understand all that stuff to draw comics even. And then you can minimalize it, you know, different tricks and stuff like that you can learn over time. And so these are just some of the tricks I wanted to teach with drawing, you know, pretty faces, and hopefully it's helped you. If you already have an understanding of the fundamentals, you can kind of see how these tricks give you style, give you this comic, kind of really cool comic look that you won't get if you just draw a realistic face. But again, you have to start diverging away from looking at stuff in drawing and start learning how to draw from imagination. And to do that, I've been told my courses are the best out there in the world for it. It's just, I have a knack for teaching people how to train their brain and a way to teach how to draw from the mind that most people just don't teach well, or they don't teach at all. Most artists don't teach it at all, the art teachers. And you know, and a lot of these comic guys, they just kind of learned how to draw from the eye, from their mind in their own way, but they don't know how to tell other people. And so they might, people ask them, please, I want to know how to draw like you do, but they're not good at explaining what's going on in their head because they don't know exactly how they came up with it or how they learned to do it. So they're like, well, just draw a lot and look at your favorite characters and favorite comic book artists and draw, and all that helps, yeah. But some of these guys just have extreme natural talent. But I can actually teach you how to draw from imagination, even if you don't have that extreme natural talent. Because I didn't have that extreme natural talent to draw from my imagination. I just didn't. I've always wanted to ever since I was a kid, and could never really do it. Every time I tried, my drawings from mind would never come out like this. They'd look like crap. I would need to look at something. But now that I've learned, I basically develop a way to teach myself how to draw from my mind. And I'm like, hey, you know what? This blueprint can help other people learn how to draw from their mind. And it's absolutely amazing. So if you want to learn better how to do what I just did here, then you need that fundamental knowledge first. But if you already have it and already doing pretty good, this will help you, figure out how to kind of, draw more pretty faces and some of these tricks and how to draw the face very quickly. Even though there's a lot of information in this video, I think that it's all important to learn and it's all important to listen to. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit that, subscribe to my newsletter on masterpaintingnow.com. That's masterpaintingnow.com. Again, the link's in the description of this video. And yeah, then whenever I come up with the art video, you'll be updated for that. So yeah, that's that. And then anything else that you might, maybe you want to check out my, right there at masterpaintingnow.com, you'll see a link there that at the top says End of All, my free graphic novel. So check that out. All the beginning stuff was drawn by me years and years ago, before I had really started to get better. It's still really good, I think, but I'm so much better now. I could redraw all those pages so much better, the beginning pages that are all in color. And then I went to black and white, and I found I didn't have enough time anymore because I run a lot of businesses now. And so like an LED light business, I'm a very, very busy person. And so that's why I don't come out with art, free art lessons very often anymore. But I'm going to try to. I'm starting to find more time to be able to do that because I'm starting to streamline my business where I don't have to do so much work. But anyway, I had to hire artists to do a lot of the pages for me. So he does most of the pages now. Every now and again, if I have time, I'll do a page, and then usually I'll say, hey, there's a page I did. And I really like him. He actually has a really, really good, interesting style and talent for what he does. He's more leaning toward manga, but I really like it. It's really cool, and it definitely fits, the comic book very well. And I think I'm actually going to hire him to do another story that I wrote. They're really, really cool. I actually submitted the screenplay to Fast Break Contest, and hopefully I'll figure out if I'm a semifinalist here soon. And for those that don't know, I also do writing, teaching how to write, and I've sold my novel and became a bestseller for a little while. It's called Bending Nature, a new kind of vampire novel. And that's if you guys are into that kind of stuff, it's really cool. There's a Kindle version which you can read for free if you have a Prime membership. And there's also a paperback version, and then there's a professional audio version on Audible, which is really cool. The actress did a really, really good job on that one. But anyway, so I've sold many short stories to magazines and things like that. So my next goal now is to win an award for a screenplay, and then to sell a screenplay. So I make little like goals for myself in life, and that's my next goal. So all right, guys, thanks for watching. And again, if this has helped you, go ahead and sign up to the newsletter if you want to be informed when I come up with either new courses and or new free lessons here on YouTube. And then another thing maybe you might want to do is just hit that share button and just share the crap out of this video to everyone on your social media network. Because if you enjoyed it and learned something from it, there's a good chance somebody else out there that sees your post will also learn from it. And yeah, we'll help people. It's a way to kind of give back. Hey, I helped you. Let's try to help others. That's my goal. That's why I do this. I don't make any money off of this free stuff. So it's not like YouTube pays me anything. They really made it a point to not pay me anything. I don't know what I did to piss YouTube off, but yeah. So all right, guys and girls, females, thanks for watching.